What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube and Twitter channels. Guys, if you are new to the channel, do us a huge favor. Make sure to head on over to the YouTube channel specifically. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. It is the best spot to get your thoughts and comments pulled up here on the screen with us. If you're watching on Twitter, we obviously appreciate you, but we are still unable to see and view your comments. Something's still going on with StreamYard. So make sure, head on over to the YouTube link. Hit that subscribe button, comment along, and join the show. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. The Phillies became the first team in the MLB to reach the 40-win mark over the weekend. They are now at 41 after they win the series with the St. Louis Cardinals. Unfortunately, they lose last night in another disappointing Taijuan Walker start, man. Ranger Suarez gets an injury scare over the weekend. Taijuan Walker continues to stink up the joint. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Yeah. Big week for the Eagles as well when it comes to cornerback plays. James Bradberry hit that June 1st mark where basically saves the Eagles a ton of money if they were to cut him now post June 1st compared to before. They would take a little bit of a hit in the 2025 salary cap, but that's not really our focus right now, and it's not a huge cap anyway. So what should they do regarding James Bradberry and that CB room? And maybe if we have time towards the end of the show, we'll talk a little Team USA here with you guys. A lot
little rando summer talk.
A lot to get into, man. But Scotty,
I have a very early question to ask you about the Phillies. It's been on my mind since I woke up, man, and it's kind of based on the Ranger injury, the Taijuan Walker start yesterday. Mm-hmm. And my question to you, man, to start the show here is, how imperative is it that Ranger Suarez, Zach Wheeler, and Aaron Nola stay healthy all season? What does this pitching rotation, what does this starting rotation look like with just one of those guys out of it? How detrimental is it that Ranger Suarez maybe misses 1 or 2 starts, or 2 to 3 starts, or 3 to 4 starts? God forbid it be longer than that. But how detrimental is it just to have one of those 3 guys out of your starting rotation there?
In an odd way, if you're worried, I'm gonna talk you off this cliff a little bit, because don't get me wrong, like it's frustrating as hell to watch Taijuan Walker each and every start. Like I tweeted out last night, brother, you are guaranteed first inning runs. Like, I don't know why I don't bet the runs first inning. It's like in Taijuan Walker starts. Not only that, you're almost guaranteed 4 or 5 earned runs given up in 4 or 5.
You're guaranteed when you catch up that he's going to give up some more. They caught up 2-2. Here comes a 2-run bomb.
His last start, San Francisco, he put him in a 3-0 hole. We took the lead 4-3. The very next half inning, he gave it right back to the Giants on the road. He's a mess right now, man. So, but the reason I'm going to talk you off the ledge is obviously that's frustrating.
Yeah.
But not many teams have 3 guys that could be in a running for a Cy Young this year. Not many teams have the depth of a Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez to start their rotation. And not many guys have a guy in Spencer Turnbull who got moved to the bullpen who adds depth as a 6th starter and can come in and replace one of these guys. So even if, let's say, Rangers to miss his next 3 starts, let's say, which obviously we're not hoping for. That's a couple weeks' time by the time that passes. You have Spencer Turnbull to fill in. So now, obviously, on paper, it hurts the rotation because now you're looking at a back end of Sanchez, Walker, Turnbull, and that's obviously not very pretty to the eye, right? Compared to when you have the top 3 like we normally do. But I think their depth is okay in the short term. Now, long term obviously throws off the trajectory and plans for everything. Like Ranger Suarez, something's wrong with his hand. There's not. Apparently, the swelling's already gone down. Greatly. The MRI didn't reveal anything, so he'll be okay, luckily. But if they were to go down long term, then I'd say you have to worry. Short term, I'm chilling. If Spencer Turnbull has to make a start or 2. I will say though, barring no injury, Ranger doesn't miss a start, maybe misses 1 start, and the rotation comes back. They're healthy throughout the summer. Spencer Turnbull needs to start over Taijuan Walker. And we're obviously not the first people to say this. Twitter was raining down with these takes last night.
Was wild.
And they've been questioned since they brought Walker back. And it's not because of Taijuan Walker himself. Now it is. But at that time, it was the fact that Spencer Turnbull's been very good in 5 or 6 starts. the point now is you have enough evidence. Like you have enough data on what Taijuan Walker is right now. And yeah, it sucks, the contract and the money, but you have to put that aside, man. I feel much more comfortable winning a game with Spencer Turnbull on the mound than I do with Taijuan Walker. I know that sounds.
Is it one of those things like where Taijuan Walker isn't going to be useful in the bullpen? So like, what else do you do with? Like, is it one of those type of situations? Because like, I'm not comfortable with this guy coming in mid innings either, and definitely not at the end of the games either. Like as far as part of the bullpen rotation, but I think the writing's on the wall. And I think with the Rangers Suarez thing, I think at least that's the good thing about starting hot, right? You can be cautious with him as well now. Like if it's even a risk for one game, you can let him sit, and it's not going to hurt you too much. But yeah, man, I think the writing's on the wall for Taijuan Walker. I think with it being like Sunday Night Baseball last night, everybody got a chance to like see that on display. And how ironic that Taijuan Walker is just lined up for the Sunday Night Baseball National Showcase. But yeah, he's not good enough. What are your like feelings coming out of the weekend though regarding the Phillies, like as a whole unit? Obviously able to get it a little turned around coming back home out of that West Coast stretch. How are you feeling now?
They're fine, man. Like they're just playing at a steady pace. It was something you and I talked about when they went on that, when they lost 4 or 5 and they lost 3 in a row and back-to-back series against teams they probably shouldn't have lost at the time. But that's going to happen. And they get the final win in San Francisco, which was big. And then they come home to an absolutely electric crowd over the weekend and take 2 out of 3 versus the Cardinals. Again, this should have been a game you win. It's 4-4 in the bottom of the 5th. You were 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position. You don't score the ghost runner in the bottom of the 10th. You lose an extra inning game. So it should have been a sweep. But again, games like this are going to happen. They're not going to go your way. Honestly, if we're being truthful, it kind of makes up for Saturday, right? Like Ranger goes down in the second inning or whenever that occurred. On paper, right? That's probably a loss for a lot of teams. Your starter, gets hurt. It just happened in Diamondback. Zach Gallen, faced the second batter of the game, got a hamstring injury, and they had to throw a bullpen game. Luckily for us, we have that depth with Spencer Turnbull. He comes in, stays shut down as he was in the beginning of the year, and they win that game. So yeah, like you could have flipped those two, and the Phillies, could have been 1-1 heading into Sunday Night Baseball. They win the game they're supposed to if they hit enough last night, and then they win the series. So they're more than fine. Obviously, I'm just saying there's nothing's changed like from before the West Coast trip. And
that's kind of what I was getting at. Like not necessarily like their record or anything. Obviously they're fine there. Like they've built enough lead ahead, I guess you could say. They're 3.5 games still ahead of the Dodgers, 6.5 on the Braves, 4.5 on the Brewers. And they got the Brewers coming up next, so you can make that even a further gap, right?
Let's talk about that for a second, man.
Yeah.
Someone's returning tonight, and I know he's your boy. But I do want to take a page from the at 97.5 the Phanatic and the John Kincaid and Sal Chunas morning show, and I want to relay their message for everybody because I could not agree more. Okay, I was there in 2016. I was in left field when Chase Utley made his return. I know exactly what they're talking about. Look, Rhys Hoskins is going to get and deserves a standing ovation. A loud standing ovation.
Yeah.
Rhys Hoskins, if we're being honest, I know you've told me this, it kind of got you into Phillies baseball a little bit. Rhys Hoskins at one point was a little glimmer of light in the dark
little glimmer of positivity.
Like, he was the first fielding prospect, first position player to come up through the system and actually produce and show something. I remember when he first came up and hit like 17 home runs in the summer, in like the month of August and September, and it was a crazy run back when his ass was playing left field. So Rhys Hoskins deserves a standing ovation. You do not cheer if Rhys Hoskins does something productive against.
All right, I was wondering where you were going with this, but I'm with you.
Rhys Hoskins tanks a 2-run home run at any point over the series. You do not cheer.
Hell no.
His first plate appearance, Standing O. Everybody should be on their feet. Let them take the bell. Let them tip the cap. Roar for them. The second that first pitch comes off of Zach Wheeler's fingertips tonight, that's it. I'm not talking. You don't have to boo. You don't even have to cheer for the Phillies if he strikes out. Just sit there quietly. You do not cheer. Chase Utley returned in 2016 when I was there, and his ass hit 3 home runs in a Vince Velasquez start, and the place was cheering when he hit the home runs. Now,
and
again,
that's the thing.
At that time, Phillies baseball wasn't very competitive, so there wasn't a lot of expectation or hope.
Chase Utley's on a little bit different.
Right, Chase Utley's also,
than Rhys Hoskins, right? Like, it's a little more acceptable. Still weird. And I would even say, like, let this be it tonight. Like, you get the first game back. That's it, right? When he comes to the plate. You get the ovation, the standing ovation, and then you move on from it. But I was worried where you were going. I thought you were going to get crazy with it. Like, don't cheer him at all. I didn't hear the Salchunas and
Salchunas basically said they're going to get the ovation. That's great. He deserves it.
Yeah.
If he does something positive for the Brewers, that negatively impacts the Phillies.
Yeah.
Against a first place
in the postseason, man.
The National League. This isn't it's not like he's playing for the 5th place team in the NL West and whatever. No. This is a first place National League team. Yeah, it's a very big series at home right now. So do not, if you're going down to the game, cheer.
What's your feeling on it? Do you feel like Rhys is going to get one on us, or do you think he's going to kind of shrink? Like, what type of guy do you think he is? Do you think he'll rise to the moment or kind of shrink in the spotlight?
I think
his wheels on the mound too, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's getting one tonight. I don't think he's getting one on the wheel. But maybe game 2 or 3 he'll pop one. But
3, we're up 5-0.
You got to remember he is just coming back off of the IL, so it's not like he's been in game condition for the last couple months. So
and then they go to London, man. Then they go to London to take on the fucking dirty Mets.
Stinky Mets, dude. Stinky.
I'm interested to see how that goes too, man. Like looks like the games. So the games are at 1:10 on Saturday and then 10 a.m. on Sunday.
Right, which I've never been to London. I believe you have. I don't know what the time difference is. So like
5 hours difference.
Like forward or back behind us.
So ahead of us, because 10 a.m. is going to be like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. something like that. They're ahead of us 5 hours.
Oh well, duh. I'm over here questioning, like, so if they play at 10 a.m. here, what are they playing at, like 5 a.m. over there? Like, duh.
That's why you see me on the weekends, man. I'll be texting you at like 7 in the morning because they're already playing soccer there. It's like 1 p.m. there at 7 in the morning.
I'm hungover as all hell on a Sunday morning. One eye can't open like this, and Scotty's texting me at 6:15 in the morning.
Getting ready for the pitch, but
getting nauseous looking at my phone.
So predictions, man. The series against the Brewers. Do you think the Phillies take that one? I think it is really important. I think it's something. It's one of those motivational points in the season where you look at this series. It's like, let's play at a playoff level, maybe.
No, absolutely. I don't know that they sweep the Milwaukee Brewers at home, but the Phillies, man. Not only are they the best team in baseball right now, not only have they been the most consistent, they just feel like a different beast at home. Like I know they've gone on the road. Remember when they went to San Diego and swept out the Padres earlier on in the year? They're a good road team. They're dangerous in front of the 45,000 screaming MFers that are down there each and every night. And this series is going to have some juice, man. Like I know it's a weekend series, like it's a little different. I get that. If a St. Louis Cardinals series just produced what I watched on from a television, I can't imagine what 2 first-place teams look like right now. And, the Brewers are on a 6-game win streak at the moment. They've been on fire. They're a weird team, man. They traded away Corbin Burns in the offseason. They battled some injuries. Their pitching staff has taken a hit. You look at their lineup. I've said this to you before. I'm going to be honest. this is a team that I want to beat the shit out of, and not because I have any distaste for them or they're annoying or the fan base, nothing like that. Like they're perfectly fine. I can't stand when teams that just have a bunch of not to be a dick, a bunch of average players on their roster, and they go off. If my Wi-Fi is bugging, I apologize.
No, you're fine. I thought it was actually mine, but
okay.
The bar went away there. But it was popping up on my end for a little bit.
Man, Tyler Black at first base, Bryce Terang at second, Joey Ortiz at third. Adames is a nice player. Yelich, obviously. Dale Frelick, Jackson Chourio, and
let it out. They're mid, right?
I can't stand average ass teams overperforming. I can't do it. So I want to kick the shit out of them. Like you're not
it's a statement series, man. Team. It's a statement series. Absolutely. That's absolutely how I feel about it too. And you got Wheeler on the mound in the first night, so you have a chance to get ahead in it as well, right? Like you can get started very early in this series. What's up, Marshawn? Welcome to the show, man. We've been waiting for you here, but yeah, it's a safe space, man.
Yeah, so you have Wheeler versus Bryce Wilson tonight. You have Sanchez versus Colin Ray tomorrow. Colin Ray's actually been pretty good for them. You have Nola versus Joe Ross on Wednesday at 4:00. Like, I guess the Sanchez game is the closest in terms of pitching prospects, but even he's been really, really solid for the Phillies this year. So, yeah, man. I mean, I'm going to say they take 2 out of 3.
And it's just it's one of those things, man, where if the bats show up, they can beat anyone. Like that's the thing with the pitching. Like, yes, you have 3 great starters in Ranger, Wheeler, and Nola, but when you have one of the best lineups as well, you can also win that way. And it's like, even looking at last night's loss, it was frustrating. Obviously, we had some plays in that if they could have just did a little bit more, it could have went our way. But you look at this game, I believe Bryce Harper and Alec Boehm went 0 for 4 each in this game. So your two best bats didn't really show up in this game. You had like a 2 game. I believe Garrett Stubbs had 2 hits in this game with a couple RBIs. So I mean, there was some weird stuff going on, but I feel like even that is a positive because you had Garrett Stubbs in there for JT Realmuto. You get something out of him. You get something out of the other guys that are out there. And it was ultimately Bryce Harper. There's 2 ways you can look at it. It's Bryce Harper and Boehm. They go 0 for. But I just feel like maybe the bats could wake up this series and maybe they go on a 3-game streak of putting up 6+ runs or something. So they do have those capabilities. I think it gets forgotten from time to time as well. Maybe just because the pitching has been so good to start the season. But
no, I agree. And to your point, man, like it's just the word frustrating, right? Like, again, you can't over-exaggerate. You can't overanalyze and get too upset and mad from a game-to-game basis. But like you said, like you give JT a night off, you put Stubbs in, you're not expecting much, and he delivers. And all you need is just a little nudge, one hit from Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm. They had runners on first and second.
They were 0 for 5 each.
One of them comes up and delivers a base knock, and it's a 5-4 game, and the game doesn't even reach 10 innings. So it is frustrating to look at it from that standpoint. But I mean, they're all-star players.
Yeah, you can't worry about those guys, right? Like Cassie had 2 hits last night as well. Shout out to Cassie, man. But
just always feels like doesn't it feel like Costi has games where it just doesn't matter? Honestly,
that's what I was literally thinking. It's like there was maybe a game. Was it Friday where we needed 1 more run to cash our bet, and it's like he's the only guy on the team that didn't do anything. Or maybe it was no. It was actually the night he was like approaching a cycle.
Oh,
and I just needed him to get that last hit at the end of the game, and he couldn't come through. But No, yeah, it's funny. Castellanos is just such an interesting guy. Like, that's one thing he has over Tobias Harris. Like, from that standpoint, I know he's gotten like these comparisons before.
These comps, yeah.
But he has like these really high moments, at least, like these good moments. But I don't know. He's a confusing yet interesting player. But at least he's interesting.
Yeah, that is true. The last thing I was going to say about the Phils, man, you brought up Garrett Stubbs stepping up last night, and we've obviously had stretches of like Cody Clemens this year where he stepped up in big moments.
Sosa.
Edmundo Sosa,
yeah,
it's an absolute animal right now. I only bring this up because I see a lot of talk on social media. There's people calling into sports talk radio in this city. I just have to get this out there. And Mundo Sosa is getting all this playing time, obviously, because Trey Turner is out for around 6 weeks or so, and he's stepping up in a humongous way. And actually, it hasn't even just been the fan base; it's been the employees at these sports talk radio stations that are somehow suggesting, in order to keep Edmundo Sosa in the lineup, which I get in theory is a good idea, putting Sosa or Trey Turner in the outfield. Hate to break it to you. Not happening. It's just like, let's just stop talking about it. Please don't. I don't want to see it anymore on Twitter. He's been
especially Turner. Turner's not going to the outfield.
Like, what are we talking about, man? And what play left field? Like, what, we're gonna move Marsh back to center and then they could play left, or are you expecting one of them to command the outfield and be the eyes and ears out there, or the mouthpiece out there, I should say.
It's one of those things where you don't have to overreact. Like, he's having a great stretch right now in Turner's absence, and that's what he's here for. That's it. Like, that is what Edmundo Sosa is here for.
I promise you, if you were to do something like that, I promise you, at some point, too much Edmundo Sosa will not be a good thing. And you're all going to start
Exactly. He had a great month, right? Like, the last month has been great. He was great.
Well, and I also bring up, like, dude, what he's done, and I don't know how much of this has to do with him and Kevin Long working with him, because obviously we've seen what Kevin Long was able to do with Marsh, with Stott, with all these different guys. Sosa came over from St. Louis 2 years ago at the deadline when we were making our World Series run. And I just remember talking about it with you and Gint and George Ryder on here. Like, I think at the time he was hitting like 168 or something. He was a plus defender on the left side of the infield. Like, he was a great glove, great defensive piece. And that's what the Phillies were kind of lacking. So they brought him over, but he was just never going to be a piece that could really play for you every day or anything like that, because his bat wasn't good enough. Dude, forget like being like average or like just an okay player to step in. Like, dude, he's pimping baseballs. Like, every single night, Edmundo Sosa is doing something to affect the outcome of the game, whether it's a 450-foot moonshot in the second inning to put us up 3-0, whether it's, just 2 or 3 singles in a game, whatever it is, he's doing something to affect the game. So he's been great, man. I'm just thinking back on highlights over, like, Bryson Stott might win a Gold Glove this year. There's been a lot of highlights, and it's just funny because it's like they win the series, so we are here to be positive. But doesn't it feel like every time we're scheduled to do the show, they lose the night prior?
Man. Yeah,
so it's like they won the series. It was a positive thing, but it's like in the immediate aftermath, we're talking about a loss, and it's like, man, come on.
Because the show goes a lot differently if we start after Saturday, right? If we do the show on Sunday morning and we're going into this game with Taijuan Walker tonight, like, the show has a different energy.
Taijuan Walker needing to be benched. I'm talking about the 6-1 Phillies win and all that. So no, but still
no, that is crazy though. I was just looking at Sosa's numbers, and he's up to 304. I mean, he's tied with Bohm. I mean, Turner leads the team, but he's obviously injured right now. But yeah, Mundo Sosa. It's nice. It's nice to have that type of depth, but once again, it's just like you said, in the other direction, don't overreact to like losses or a few losses.
And by the way, man, I swear to God, like, these people just love to contradict themselves, because aren't these the same people that care so much about defense and analytics and plus statistics and everything like that? Like, these same people were the ones that wanted Rhys Hoskins out of town, even though his bat was electric, because he couldn't play first base. He was a negative defender at first base, and you're not going to win a World Series with that. These were the same people that clamored that no matter how bad Johan Rojas was at one point in the batter's box, he has to play because he's that great defensively, and et cetera, et cetera. And now you want to hurt the defense because Sosa's playing well. They're good. He's great in the infield. You put Edmundo Sosa anywhere in the outfield,
it's going to ruin his bat.
Negatively impacting the Phillies defense. You put Trey Turner in the outfield, negatively impacting the Phillies defense. People want to point at Costi, man. They'll put him in right field. Castellanos is a fine defender. Like, his numbers are actually in the positive. So stop. And Costi's not getting benched. They're not taking him out.
You take like Sosa out of his comfortable spot. He likes to play shortstop, right? Like, he likes to play on the infield. If you take him out of his comfortable spot, it's going to mess with his rhythm when he's batting as well. Like, it plays into all of that, right? Like, if he's having to think about playing outfield the next time he goes out in the field, he's not going to be worried about his next bat, right? Because he's playing out of position out in the field. So it's like you're moving all these guys. It's kind of like what they were – mind you, I saw somebody tweet this out last night, and I agree. I think we've talked about this before, but like the in-game, like in-play interviews on like Sunday Night Baseball are like just beyond fucking corny and stupid. But like beside that point, they talked to Bryson Stott last night, and they were basically asking him, like, do you consider yourself a second baseman, or do you consider yourself a shortstop and a second baseman? And he's like, no, I'm just a second baseman. I'm playing shortstop because one of the better shortstops are out right now. Like, and that's what I'm kind of talking about with Sosa. It's like, I don't need to pencil myself in as like right field, shortstop, maybe some third base. Like, I don't need to have all of that on my mind. I just need to
like if Bryce goes down and Bohm has to play first base, that'd be like getting on the mic with Bohm and saying, "Are you a third baseman, or do you consider yourself both?" No, I'm a fucking third baseman. Okay, this is out of necessity, right? So,
no. Yeah, mind you, it's a dumbass question, but I did like Bryson Stott's answer.
Bryson Stott deserves to win a Gold Glove this year. He's unbelievable at both positions right now.
He's a great player, man. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Great
so Phillies take on the Brewers starting tonight. And hopefully they can take care of business and just win the series. Like, that's all you have. That's all you have to do, man. Like, that's the thing. We all love sweeps, and we want to just put our stamp on things. They swept enough teams in the month of May for us to. All you got to do.
I'm wondering what the odds are here, man.
For what?
Just the games in this series. I've been so used to the Phillies being like overwhelming.
We are. I believe we are like minus 200 tonight. Minus 210
tonight with Wheeler on the mound, of course.
Yeah, the Sanchez game, I would imagine, I'll say around minus 130 to minus 150, and then the Nola game, I'll say we're like minus 180 or something. Minus 150. True. They're going to be favorites.
We are at home.
Heavy favorites at home. So yeah. But moving on, man. We'll talk more Phillies later this week, but some Eagles news, obviously. Non-mandatory OTAs were taking place. Some people were missing. Some people weren't there. Mandatory OTAs start pretty soon. Big week for the Birds, though. Certain cornerback that Howie Roseman brought back last offseason. And we were happy with it. And I think a lot of people were happy with it. And it was kind of a necessity at the moment. And, oh, my God, we kept Slay and Bradberry. I didn't think this could happen. It turns out James Bradberry fell off a cliff somehow. But it's a big week in terms of salary. So if the Eagles were to cut James Bradberry before the June 1st, which obviously they cannot do anymore, it would have cost them around $10 million in salary cap space this year. They can now cut/trade him with almost no impact on this year's cap. They do lose around $3 million in space for 2025. Adios. Adios.
Let me ask you this.
To the airport, brother.
Let me ask you this. Now that we've seen how it played out, and if we go back to how we felt at the time, right, when James Bradberry was signed back to the team, you had a couple other free agents as well, right? Was that more of just a consolation prize? Like at the end of the day, I know myself personally, I wanted CGJ back that off season the most out of anybody in that secondary. And I might have been wrong in that aspect as well. Like he wasn't like that overwhelmingly great in Detroit. He was injured again. So I'm not saying like I am like backtracking in that sense. That might not have been the right move either. But at the time, we had signed James Bradberry back after we basically found out that CGJ was not coming back. And then Darius Slay also gets released at some point, right? And then signed back later a couple days later, I should say. That was more of a consolation prize. And we kind of and the reason I ask this is I do wonder how often as fans we do just kind of settle in, right? Like, okay, like Bradberry, he gave up the big play in the Super Bowl, but he was all pro last season. Like, I guess that is the conversation to it. It was just, I don't know. Did you feel that way, or did you want Bradberry back? Like you wanted, like, did you want him back by all means? Like, I don't feel like it ever felt like that.
It's weird. I think it's somewhere in the middle, right? I don't think it was just a consolation prize and I'll take what we can get.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't like pounding the drum for him over CGJ, and he's number one priority, and so on. It just felt like a good fit at the time. The thing is, you are Howie Roseman being the wizard he is. However, the contracts and everything and the legal talk works in these contracts in the NFL. For some reason, at June 1st, they were able to avoid a major cap hit. You do whatever it takes to get out of this now. Like you just cut them. If anybody wants it, like you're not trading them. Like that's the other thing. It says in that tweet, like they could trade them. First of all, who's trading anything for James Bradberry? Secondly, they know you'll just want to, move on from him regardless.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like you could trade him. You're going to have to eat most of the salary, even if you trade him, right? Like, so if you trade him, it's not like that deal is just going to clean your books of James Bradberry. You're going to have to agree in principle. Maybe they give you like a 6th round pick or something, and you eat like 80% of that salary for that season anyways. And I think the other side of it is maybe if the draft didn't go the way that we see that it went, right, with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. Yeah, you get 2 of the top 3 corners. Now it does make James Bradberry expendable. Like I'm more excited for a guy like Isaiah Rodgers, for example. Like there was a report came out last week, first week of training. Don't take it with a grain of salt. Pick 6. I mean, he making a play. Right. Like that's what I see. I don't see the pick 6 and like, oh, he's going to score touchdowns for us on defense. Making a play, being attention to the ball. And that's what I liked about CGJ. And last year, I felt like we just didn't have like that ball hawk, that guy that's going to go out, not only get a deflection and like get a stop, but make the play, make a great play. And that's what we saw with like Byard. He would make some of the okay plays, right? The plays that he's supposed to make, but there was never that big interception or that interception that he just made a really good read on and jumped the route. Like we didn't have any of that last year, so I'm excited.
There's no ball hawk. There was no instinct in the secondary.
Yeah,
you have one corner that nicknames himself Big Play Slay, and one big play occurred all year, and it was in week 1.
I'm hoping the young boys can push Slay, like make him be better.
That's the other thing. When it comes, what does it say? And I know they're they're voluntary, so they don't have to be there. And Slay wasn't there either. And I'm not saying anything about anybody that wasn't there, but the fact that Bradberry didn't show up to voluntary workouts, like it is almost as good as done. Like there's no way he probably doesn't want to return either. I will ask you this too. You hear Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. You hear Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter talk about Vic Fangio and his style and that old school type of coach and all business and on your ass kind of, right? I know like James Bradberry is a vet, so you would expect a guy like him seems pretty serious all the time. Unlike he would like to play for a coach like that, but it just doesn't feel like he fits Vic Fangio.
Yeah, like if Vic gets in his face,
correct.
How does James Bradberry react to that?
We don't get to see a lot of James Bradberry, whether it's from social media or interviews or anything like that. Yeah. But it just feels like he doesn't care. I don't know how to explain it. He's just he just boring, quiet dude.
Boring,
on the field. Got punked by the 49ers when they walked out at the link last year. Like wipe your hands and move on and eat the $3 million next year.
Even in those like social media videos that the Eagles accounts do.
Yeah.
Whenever they do it on him, he's boring.
Yeah, he's just quiet and boring. Yeah, just moves on.
Monotone answer. Yeah. Like he's not a fun guy. But yeah, I agree. Like I think it is telling because from his standpoint versus Slay at the end of the day had a pretty decent season last year. He was not.
What I'm saying is show some goddamn emotion.
Bradberry could use it.
Yeah.
He could use the training camp. Come out there and show that he's not completely washed, right? Like show that he does have some juice in his legs. So for him to not show up is
boring like his play. Boring like his play.
Yeah, because like if Bradberry's back there, like how much, you know what I mean? Like just having him there in the room, even if you do decide to, like, for example, start Quinyon Mitchell out on the other side of Slay outside.
Yeah,
he's still there. It's like he's still like over your back.
Yeah, I don't want the roadblock in front of any of these dudes, whether it's Cooper.
Yeah, I don't want that to be on Mitchell's
whether it's
mind.
Isaiah Rodgers getting an opportunity.
Yeah,
I don't need any speed bump or like I said, roadblock in the way of these young guys getting an opportunity. Week 1, bro. Like that's what I said to you before. Like. It feels like so many other teams, when you go out and take a first-round corner, when you go out and have a top 15 pick, they play right away and they become impact players. When Sauce Gardner was selected, when Pat Surtain was selected, when Micah Parsons was selected, they get to play immediately and they are impact players. They get viewed around the league as one of the best at their position. And it always feels like across all sports in Philly, like we just keep the training wheels on too long. Like I get Jalen Carter is a defensive tackle. He's not a 3. Like he's part of a rotation. But even him, it's like how much did we get of him last year? Jordan Davis, year 1. Obviously being out of shape matters. But Jordan Davis, it's like we keep the training wheels on too long. When you go out and grab Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean in rounds 1 and 2, they have to be on the field week 1, impacting ball games like that. So get James Bradberry the hell out of town. I'll drive him to the airport. And
I agree.
He finds a job elsewhere because I don't know if he's going to at this point.
You brought Avonte Maddox back. Like you got it. You have experience back there. You have everything you need. Right. You don't need James Bradberry. I mean, like you said, thank you for your service. Got us to a Super Bowl. Did have a holding call in the Super Bowl. Like let's
whether you agree with the call or not, it's right there, frame by frame in the picture. Number 24 is unfortunately remembered as one of the most heartbreaking moments in Philly sports. Probably the most heartbreaking moment ever. So yeah,
he had a great season that year, though. He did. Like he was arguably better than.
By the way,
Darius
wasn't fucking holding, but that's neither here nor there. He's in the frame. So. That's it, man. But before we finish,
I saw another rumor about the Birds last week, sometime in the middle of last week, and obviously the rumors are gonna fly. But I've seen Cortland Sutton, a rumor that the Eagles could look to trade for him.
I saw Hunter Renfrow.
I think Devontae Parker is the one that retired.
He retired. We got Frank Gore again. Except no one
signed John Ross. It's interesting.
I do like the John Ross signing.
Yeah, and mixed with like a Paris Campbell, who's like a speedster as well. You have
if one of those two pans out, then you have a definitive number 3.
Yeah,
if one of those two pans out, maybe both get playing time and actually produce. But if one of those two can play between Smitty and Brent and AJ and Goddard, it works.
And that's why I bring this question. Like, would you be willing to part ways with like draft compensation to bring in like Cortland Sutton? Like obviously he's not wide receiver 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think Cortland Sutton is a slot guy on a different like level and tier than taking a flyer. Cortland Sutton's not a flyer. Cortland Sutton
for sure.
Yeah, like he's gonna fit. So no, I would for sure.
That's like going all in though, right?
Yeah.
Which they should.
I think Hunter Renfrow. I know he didn't have a good year last year. He's just in such a bad situation with the quarterback play and the coaching issues out in Vegas, where like Hunter Renfrow. Like, you just think about those short intermediate white guys, right? Danny Amendola.
You never get them, man.
Basically, just from Boston and the Patriots, but yeah,
we had Kevin Curtis.
Guys that Kevin Curtis
back in the day.
Yeah, that just impact games in the slot. So
well, I guess let me pose it this way: would you rather get somebody like a Calais Campbell on the defensive side of things, that for sure, like veteran defensive tackle, or maybe in addition to the linebacker room? We still got. Always forget about Devin White. I feel like we haven't talked about him much, but I am slightly excited for that. Or would you go more towards like the offensive side of things? Because like the offensive side of the ball, it kind of feels like
it's like to me, and it's always like the draft, right? Like, do you draft best player available? Do you draft for need? And I guess it depends where you are. And I think at this point in the offseason and how the roster is kind of taking shape already, you take the most talent, you take the best player available. And if Calais Campbell is available, you go out and you get Calais Campbell and not worry about Hunter Renfrow. Courtland, but again, I do view Courtland Sutton on a little bit different of a level when it comes to wide receiver 3. I think Courtland Sutton's a decent wide receiver 2 on a lot of teams.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was about to say. Not the ideal, maybe. Yeah. But he's good enough to be that, right?
Are we just not that confident in that room other than our 2? Yeah, well, I have nothing to be confident in. I haven't. I've had Quez Watkins for the last 3 fucking years. I can't. I haven't had a.
It was
reliable.
Oh my God.
Well, we had Julio. We brought in Julio last year. It didn't work. Who?
Zacchaeus Olamide.
Oh yeah, Zacchaeus.
We had him. We had Julio, like you said, and
now there was Zach Pascal. We brought in the Super Bowl year. Like we've brought in a couple different wide receiver 3 options. None have really panned out, and maybe that was just by design in the offense and what they're going to be, how they're going to be used. But
because that's what I was going to say. It's like, do you want a ton of targets to Olamide Zacchaeus? You know what I mean? Like, there's maybe 2 or 3 moments last year where if you have Courtland Sutton, that like really, really matters, right? Like in like rather than having Quez in at this moment, if we had Courtland Sutton in, he would have caught this pass. In the postseason, it would
go back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Go back. Quez Watkins drops a walk-in touchdown. They probably win the Super Bowl if anybody else is running under that ball in that moment. So
that's fair.
Wide receiver 3 is obviously a need. I'm just saying, if you have a choice between a very, very talented edge rusher or linebacker, or filling a depth piece on the offensive side, you go out and you get the most talented guy on defense.
I've seen some other rumors about Miles Sanders potentially getting cut. Would you be open to him coming back?
I'm good, man.
Yeah. I don't hate Miles Sanders by any means. I just don't think he would add anything different. I would rather see Will Shipley, honestly.
I think you will too. I think you will. But before we wrap up, man, you wanted to talk Team USA?
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. I find it very interesting. I think we ended up with the same lineups that we would go with. Yeah, but it is an interesting team nonetheless. Before we get into that, man, just announcing, I don't know if Hunter and the boys in the comments saw, but Justin Jefferson just got like that monster extension. Yeah. Once again, shout out to Howie before we move on. Just getting ahead of it.
Everything done, bro. Yeah. You saw Waddle's deal when it comes to Smitty. Now you see Jetta's deal when it comes to AJ, and just getting ahead of the curve. But highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. 4 years, 140 mil. I think like 110 or 115 is guaranteed.
Yeah, guaranteed money. Insane, but I guess he deserves it, right? If there's any wide receiver that deserves it, it would be him.
Except I don't know who's playing quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy. Like, is that who's getting on the ball? All right.
We got to get into turf talk soon, man.
Yeah, no, we will.
We got to talk this out because there's a lot to get into. July, that's when we can look forward to that starting. Yep. But let's talk about this USA team, man, because we got Embiid on the roster. He's officially part of Team USA.
The Frenchmen don't like that. They don't like
the Frenchmen.
They do not.
I get it. He was like their hope and savior, right? Like if he
I don't get it though. Because if anything, where's he from? Cameroon? Well, like, shouldn't it be Cameroon that's more upset than anything?
It's weird, yeah. Because I think Siakam plays for Cameroon.
In France, like he has citizenship in the United States. He's from Cameroon.
Yeah.
To me, like your home country, I get should be the ones that, if anything, were like, man, you couldn't come play for us. The hell is France so mad about?
Do you think though, like with Embiid making this decision, like I'm trying to find out the best way to ask this question. Is it like front runner-ish? Is it front runner-ish to join Team USA versus like a France or not Cameroon, because Cameroon is just not winning they're not winning the Olympics, right?
Right.
France, if he joined France, they could potentially compete. Like when you have MVP Embiid on that roster and then just build it out with guys like Nico Batum, guys that can just be good role players. But do you think that was just like Embiid, like just wanting the chance to win? Or is it just as simple as like, I would just rather play with those guys? Like,
probably a combination of both, right? Probably, I mean, it's the easiest route.
Like I might not win in Philly ever.
The least amount of work he's going to have to do because he's surrounded by the most talent. Friends are probably playing on the team, so he's going to go play with them, so that's fun. Yeah. But I think the better question as a Sixers fan is like, should you be playing? Like, I mean, Jesus Christ, you can't play for us half the year, but now you're going to go play for Team USA.
There's two sides to that conversation.
I'm not trying to be like a killjoy, but like, fuck.
Yeah, because there is that one-off opportunity. Even if he's playing 15 to 20 minutes a night, he could just get injured. I think there's the other side of it that like maybe he can stay in better shape this offseason by playing, but I think it's like we're just tainted as Sixers fans watching Embiid because he plays like 35 to 40 minutes a night for us to have to win. He just shouldn't have to do that for Team USA. He should play like 15, 20 minutes a night and, switch off with AD.
I don't even know if I'm going to be like happy, if he's out there
balling out.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to be happy because I'm going to be like, bro, I just watched you hobble up and down the court.
I don't know, man. There's
heartbreaking losses, and now
it depends the lineup because you could throw like an AD out there and let him like roam around. If you put like AD out there with like Embiid, Embiid could just be that floor spacing big. He could protect the rim, and then you have AD as kind of like that roamer. So they got like options to kind of take weight off of Embiid versus the Sixers, right? Like Embiid on offense doesn't have to get into his full bag. He can just be a floor spacing big, finish at the rim, and shoot threes.
When you're also playing alongside Steph Curry and LeBron James and Kevin Durant, life might be just a wee bit easier. But
yeah, exactly, man. Let's get that out there. What's your starting five for this Team USA?
And if anybody else has another starting five, I don't know what to tell you. It's Steph Curry is at the one. I guess the two is the area you could argue the most, and obviously the way that series, his playoff run just ended, it's not looking as optimistic as it was 2 series ago. But Edwards at the 2, KD and LeBron at the 3 and 4, and Joel at the 5. That's your starting lineup.
And I do feel you on Ant. Like that was the one that I like questioned the most out of my.
I don't know if there's another 2 guard on the what you're gonna play Halliburton next to Steph
or Devin Booker,
right?
And it's like I thought about Devin Booker, I did, but I kind of looked at like upside fit, like Ant Edwards off ball. I feel like is just, I don't know. Maybe it's not better than Devin Booker. I don't know. I just like Ant Edwards more than Devin Booker. I like his personality, his mentality. I like it all.
D-Book's probably the one possibility of throwing it to. But outside of that,
they could. Do you think there's any chance? Because it is Grant Hill that is like part of running Team USA.
Oh geez.
Are they gonna force Jason Tatum into that starting lineup, man?
They might.
They could put him at the 2.
Grant Hill might start Bam Adebayo over Joel Embiid.
Huh?
Grant Hill might start Bam Adebayo over Joel.
Bro, I'm telling you, man. Like, there's part of me that's gonna be offended, but then, like we talked about, like you just said a little bit ago, it's like, is that what's best though?
Like, basically, I'm not going to be happy watching Team USA play because if they don't start him and he doesn't play a lot, I'm going to be calling them idiots. Yeah. And then if he does play and he's out there balling, I'm going to be pissed because it's like, again, you're always injured when it matters most for me. And now
How serious do you think Joel's going to take it?
I doubt very seriously at all. I mean, I shouldn't say that.
Listen, when it gets
later into the game, into the tournament, or if they're playing for gold and shit like that, then yeah, obviously, and the reason they assembled this team is because of how Team USA has looked for the past couple outings. But again, like it almost feels like All-Star game-ish, right? Like is Steph Curry going to be pulling up from 45 feet away? Like is LeBron going to be throwing oops off the backboard to AD and Bam? Like I don't know what to expect,
and we've seen in past years, but it seems like they're not doing that with this roster. They're putting in their minds the best players out there. Like they usually lean on the younger guys in these moments, but I mean, you got LeBron,
the younger guys haven't won shit the past couple of times, so
yeah,
I guess LeBron's a little fed up. Put it this way, it is weird though.
Canada's going to be wild, I believe, because they got SGA. I think they got guys like Lou Dort. Canada's got some decent ballers on their team, and then
is Cat Canadian?
Who
is Cat Canadian?
No, he played for like Puerto Rico or something, man. Dominican Republic, maybe. Man, who is the Canadian big man? I just want to look it up real quick. Canada.
Anyway, the last thing I was going to say is like we're sitting here like not pissed, but like talking about if Joel, is going to play and how seriously he's going to take it. Meanwhile, like if you're a Clippers fan, Kawhi Leonard's on the roster. Like you're
didn't play in the postseason though.
40-year-old LeBron James is out here trying to bring gold back. Like I don't know.
It is interesting, man. Like to see these guys come out and play in this type of environment. Team Canada, man. I knew they had a few guys on here. So they have Zach Edey is apparently going to get some run with them. RJ Barrett. Yeah, I saw this interview of Nick Nurse because he was coaching Team Canada at one point. I don't know if he still does. I don't think he does. But he was talking about how like great Zach Edey was at the like national level playing with Team Canada. So Zach Edey, RJ Barrett, Dylan Brooks, Kelly Olynyk, Lou Dort, SGA. So it's like it's not like this crazy team.
No.
SGA is a monster.
To piss you off. SGA is a monster. He's an MVP candidate.
And then
outside of that, this is exactly what I just talked about with you and the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
These annoying ass pesky teams that overachieve with just a bunch of average mid role players in the NBA. Kelly Olynyk, RJ Barrett, rookie slow ass Zach Edey, and they're going to somehow give teams a hard time and give Team USA a hard time. Ridiculous. It's going to be just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's what part of me feels like, Team USA just isn't going to have that. And like you said, at the end of games, like second halves of games, right. I think they're gonna turn it on a little bit. But
I agree.
It's going to be interesting to see all these guys play together, man. Like it's a dream to see like Embiid play next to like Steph Curry or an Ant Edwards.
Right, something that's not an actual all-star game where they are playing for something real. So they are going to take it seriously. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying like with their talent level, like
they might not have to take
it
like
together. Like I
NBA
said, like,
Finals.
I'm sure you're going to watch Steph pull up from 40 feet at some point and LeBron go between the legs on a fast break and just be doing some crazy shit. But
I could see like Ant Edwards going out there and just like really, really going hard as fuck.
He will.
The younger guys, right? So it'll be interesting, man. But this is the type of stuff we're gonna have to talk about, brother. Yeah. This is summer,
long summer. But with that said, if you are watching on Twitter, make sure to head on over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. It's the best spot to get your thoughts and comments pulled up here with us. We still cannot see your comments through Twitter. StreamYard has to get its shit fixed. But yeah, make sure you head on over to the YouTube link specifically. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll see you Wednesday.
Peace, everybody. See you Wednesday.